Our next guest has taken on a mathematical challenge that has baffled experts for nearly a century, and he says he's found the solution. Brian Darbyshire is the author of Plausibility and the Solution to the Behrens-Fisher Problem. But his work isn't just for academics. It's for anyone fascinated by math, statistics, and the search for definitive answers. Brian, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, it's great to be speaking with you. Now, let's start with the basics. What exactly is the Behrens-Fisher problem?
It's a problem in statistics, in sampling, small samples. And it's to do with comparing the data you have from two small samples of similar but different things, like different varieties of potatoes. And you want to know from the small samples what we can know about the difference between them if there were a very large number of samples. So it's a problem in statistical inference. It was first encountered by Walter Behrens about 100 years ago in Germany, and later by R.A. Fisher in England. And Walter Behrens was concerned with potatoes and rye and similar things, and Fisher was concerned with seeds, but they both had the same problem. And they both produced a solution, which is almost exactly the same. And first of all, they thought they'd solved it, but then it was quickly disputed, and what was thought to be a solution became known as the Behrens-Fisher problem.
Now, there are terms that come up with this, probability and plausibility. How do they differ?
Well, probability is the frequency with which events occur or which samples arise. And we know all about probability, and we know how probabilities combine. You just multiply them together. But plausibility is not the same thing. It's closely related to probability, but it's not at all the same. Plausibility is concerned with making a quantitative judgment about how certain we are about something. That's quite distinct from the frequency with which things occur. After all, the difference between the true difference between these two samples doesn't change. It's fixed, and the samples we have obtained are all we're going to have, so that's fixed too. We're simply trying to infer something from the samples about the difference, and that's where plausibility comes in. And plausibility is not something we can just make up. We can't devise it, we can't define it, we have to discover it. And we have to discover how plausibilities combine. When we do that, then the solution to this tormenting problem follows almost immediately. So the book is actually about the process of discovery. In essence, it's a search for something which is fundamentally true.
Now, this is your first book, so what went into doing this, and then what actually is going to be next for you?
Well, what went into it was a long period of thinking about it. I first encountered, I came across this problem about 50 years ago when I was in the aerospace industry. Not this particular problem, but a similar problem, and I stumbled across the Behrens-Fisher problem. And when I did that, I thought eventually, when I have some free time, I will get into it and maybe find a solution. Eventually I retired, and eventually I got into the problem, and it took quite a while. And suddenly, after a lot of thought and following the routes which everyone else had followed, and encountering various issues which required a change in direction, the solution emerged. This particular problem is to do, as I say, with sampling, to do with materials or food products. But there are other similar problems in which we don't have a number of samples. We have a large number of participants and just a few results, as occurs, for example, in pharmaceutical trials and with vaccines. And so plausibility has a role to play in finding a solution to that sort of problem, and in being able to represent what's different and what's better about one product over another.
Right.
So maybe that's next.
Yes, Brian, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Pleasure, and thank you for having me on the show.
You can find Plausibility and the solution to the Behrens-Fisher problem now on Amazon. We'll also have it linked with this interview on LasVegasMorningBlend.com.